What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1063 of Pop Culture Crisis. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Friday. It's almost the weekend, is it not? My name is Brett. I am here with my co-host going into the weekend. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. I'm 8 shots of espresso into the day, and it's pretty rough, guys.
She's like the whole day during pre-production, she was just...
And you're blaming it on the caffeine, but I'm like, no, it can't be that. I can't possibly give up caffeine for this.
If you take a day off, it'll work better the next day.
I think it's been maybe years since I haven't had coffee for a day.
Well, you might have to take a day off.
Gosh, I never thought it would get to this point.
So
life is falling apart.
You said that you didn't. You said that you just didn't get a lot of sleep. Like, what's a lot of sleep for you? Like, what's a good night? What's a good amount of rest for you, and what's less?
I mean, there are some nights where I'll sleep for 5 hours, feel fine the next day. This time, I slept 8 hours, feel like shit. I don't know what's going on, but the exhilaration of making content is really what keeps me going and fuels me for the day. So I'm back. I'm on.
The what I've heard or what I've felt is like, so for me, amount of hours does matter, but if I get 8 hours but I wake up a bunch in the middle of the night, like to go to the bathroom or something, or just because I'm tossing and turning, that is way worse than a night where I get 6 hours and I sleep the whole night through.
Yeah, I would believe that. I just don't really keep track of things like that because I'm not Stephen Bartlett.
You're not optimizing.
I don't have an Oura ring, and I don't have a sleep number, and I don't have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or all of these other gadgets. I just kind of wing it.
That's okay. We need more winging it in society. We don't need people A/B testing their life.
It's all about the spontaneity. You know?
Well, you know what? We'll try to not bore you today and keep you from yawning. So while we work together, ladies and gentlemen, to not bore Mary on this beautiful Friday afternoon, would you hit the like button, please, on this episode? Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with everybody in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share the show with, the faster our channel can grow, which is a great way to help us out. You should do that. So what are we getting into? And I forgot because I'm totally going to forget at the end of the show tonight. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I'm going to be doing a show on the Discord. We're still working out what that is going to look like, but I will be there. Olivia will be like in the background. She might come up on the stage with me as well, but something in the realm of pop culture. I recorded a video today about the utter humiliation that Obsession has fed to the Mandalorian and Grogu box office. So maybe perhaps I'll talk a little bit more in depth about that, but it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night on the Discord, so you should look for that at 7 p.m. Okay, now that I've gotten that done and I didn't forget, so fantastic. Don't let me forget at the end of the night. Anyways, what are we going to talk about today? Well, the number one thing being that Freedom 250, which is this big multi-week fair that's going on to celebrate America's 250th birthday, had a whole bunch of musicians signed up to perform for it, and a whole bunch of musicians is exactly how many have backed out of their performances. Not all of them, some, not all, but most, and let's face it, the day is young. Maybe some are waiting for Friday at 5.
Maybe even while we're live, someone else is going to drop out.
Very, very possible. So we will talk about all of that. There's a lot of reasons being given. Some people are saying it's leftist terrorism. Other people are saying it's hatred of Donald Trump. Who knows? We'll get into it. We're also going to talk about Tom Hardy being a diva. It goes all the way back to the days of, I almost said Top Gun Maverick, to the days of Mad Max Fury Road, where reports were heavy from Charlize Theron that Tom Hardy had a bit of an attitude on set, and that seems to have carried over possibly into the making of his show Mobland over on Paramount Plus. He was reportedly fired. Now that's being said that is wrong, and he's in negotiations to come back for season 3. Some people even said it was a proxy war for Israel and Palestine between Tom Hardy being genocided by Helen Mirren, the Zionist, apparently. So
yeah, don't think so. Cast some doubt on that.
Press X to doubt. So
I mean, I was just reading about everything that was going on Fury Road earlier, and these people, they love it. They love like the clashes. They love the drama off camera. It's like a drug to them. They're obsessed with themselves.
You are very right. So we're going to get into all of that. I'm actually of the opinion, I'm like, you know what? He should be a diva. You know what? He should.
Good for him.
If you are of that level of fame, you know, it's actually completely wrong. Like, you should not keep.
He's actually not that famous, right?
He is, but I'm saying you shouldn't keep the.
Well, what is he? He's like B-list or C-list.
He's an A-list actor.
He is not A-list.
Yes, he is.
No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
He is not.
Who do you consider an A-list actor?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
He is of the, maybe not Leo level of fame, but he's a very famous actor.
That means he's B. If you're not Leo level, you're not A.
So it's just Leo as level A? This is what the whole discussion should be about.
Leo. It's not just Leo, but like he is the quintessential example of who represents the A list of Hollywood. Tom Hardy's just not on it, and that's okay, but
I don't know if I agree with that.
You gotta know your place.
We'll talk.
I could go up to a random person on the street. 100% of them would know who Leonardo DiCaprio is and know the movies he's been in. If I could say, like, do you know about like this actor Tom Hardy? If I even showed them a picture of the guy, I bet the majority of people would have no clue. Or they might be like, oh, I've seen him in something or other. I'm just not totally sure I can put my finger on it. He's not A-list.
Who's another example of an A-list actor then?
Okay, so probably Robert De Niro would be another one.
Okay. I mean, but that's by virtue of like time in the industry, because he's so old. Like, it's not like he makes any movies now that people watch.
And just in terms of recognizability, The Rock would probably be on that list.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I just showed someone on the street a picture of Tom Hardy and said, who is this actor? I guarantee the vast majority of people wouldn't be able to name him.
You know, I guess he is behind the mask. Funnily enough, he was in The Revenant when Leo finally won his Oscar.
They're constantly covering him with the mask in these movies, so people don't know who he is.
Wore a mask in Mad Max, wore a mask in The Dark Knight Rises. Venom, of course, he plays.
Can we try to settle this with a poll today? Can we put up a poll in the chat?
Well,
ask them if Tom Hardy is considered A, B, or C list or something.
Well, he's definitely not. He is not a C-list celebrity. I will accept B-list.
A-lister, yes or no?
Hold on, give me. I gotta leave us both on screen while I type on this. So
okay.
Hold on. So,
because like I wouldn't even consider his co-star at the time, Charlize Theron, to be A-list, but she's quite close. I just don't think the average normie would be able to name either of them just based on a picture. You know what I mean? Like
the poll is.
They would know Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie is A-list, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think she's earned that title.
I don't know. I put it up there. Look, like I said, he made the only recognizable Marvel Sony movies that people actually liked, being that he played Venom and is very recognizable in that. He was in Dunkirk. He's in Inception, so he's a Nolan guy. He's a recognizable face. I will say that B-list is maybe possible, but I view him as an A-list actor. He is a name that I see. You know what he gets. You know what I'm gonna vote on A-list as. You know when somebody gets copy pasta made about them. Is there
a copy pasta about Tom Hardy?
There's a tweet, and maybe it was his. Maybe it was somebody else's, but I feel like it's very believable that this one gets like sort of like given to him, as I've seen it as like fake tweets, where it's like when you learn to like stay in the house and just hang out with yourself, it becomes addictive because you just eat snacks and it's like this one tweet that it's like there's one about him and there's one about Keanu that goes around like every couple of months, where it's basically like approval to be a loner and a shut-in.
Okay.
And
It's
I
very
feel
Reddit.
when you get to a copy pasta that's very popular about that, like him and Keanu, it's like Tom Hardy once said, and then they copy and paste the quote.
Well, he is notoriously a doom scroller, which we'll get to in a bit.
Okay. Well, okay, that's a fantastic debate. If he is to be said as B-list, then I would like to know who the A-list is so that I can compare them. Because Margot Robbie, outside of what we've learned, Margot Robbie outside of Barbie doesn't drive box office sales.
Well, yeah, but neither does The Rock reliably, but he's still A-list in terms of recognizability. Yeah. Like, people know who he is. I would consider that the main metric, because Tom Hardy has all of the prestigious relationships in his industry, but he's just not well known by the average normie.
Maybe the idea is that so we're looking at Inception. He's not the lead. Dark Knight Rises. He's not the lead. Mad Max. He's the lead. Like you get up to like Spider-Man. He's the lead. Okay, like half of the movies, he's definitely the dude who's leading the top of the call sheet. The other half, he's the guy who works with the lead.
Well, he's got an awful lot of attitude either way.
Yes, he does.
We'll discuss.
We'll get into it. Fantastic. And also, we're going to talk about Millie Bobby Brown. She's married to a Nepo baby who doesn't know how to pack a suitcase to go on vacation, which is making a bunch of people mad.
Yeah, basically. You did a good job summarizing that.
Perfect. All right. With all that being said, if you're ready to go, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So in the most recent episode of Euphoria's third season, we see a cameo from a Nepo baby aspiring actor. It's Richard Gere's son, Homer. Interesting name. Actually, I learned he was named after his grandfather. So that's actually a family name. He's not actually named after Homer. But anyway, the reason why this has gotten so much attention and gone viral is because he is shown in nothing but his boxers in the show. Now, that's not saying much given that it's Euphoria and there's nudity all over the show. But people were remarking at how regular his body is and how he's not this ripped guy with visible six-pack abs. He's a realistic body type, and showing this represented in media for men to see themselves on screen, which is so rare. And this is captioned, Richard Gere's son, Homer Gere, is currently going viral for his regular body after featuring in the latest Euphoria episode. And ironically, he actually plays a character named Dylan Reed in the show, who is depicted as a fictional up-and-coming Hollywood heartthrob and actor who works with talent manager Maddie Perez. She's kind of unofficially Sydney Sweeney's character's OF manager.
Okay.
So she's trying to get her connections to people who are famous and trying to clout chase off of her. But anyway, you saw him in the video. I want to know, like, the men in the audience, do you feel seen right now? Do you feel validated? Do you feel like this is a representative of just the regular Joe on screen and that we need more of this? Or is this actually the opposite of everything men have said they want to see on screen? I would say it's the latter, because it's usually men who want to see an aspirational body type on screen.
Correct.
It's women who want to see more realistic physiques. And they even say that about Homer Gere in this instance. They're decrying all of the body shaming that is allegedly going on. One said, it's incredible we've gone back to the early 2000s body culture, but now men are also being given eating disorders. So they're claiming that this same body toxicity has made a comeback, but this time it's targeting men. Another one said, imagine that you got your first big role and you check social media and everyone is talking about you being fat. Now, I feel like there's a little bit of projection going on there, because the caption only said that he has a regular body, which means average. Honestly, he's more slim than the average guy in the United States. The average guy in the United States is overweight, and he's not overweight in this show.
Is that not considered overweight? How tall is he? Do you know his dimensions? Like, how tall
I don't know
is he?
his exact BMI or anything, but just based on appearances, he doesn't look to be clinically overweight or obese.
Let's also consider the fact that, like, first of all, dudes, you should never be offended by aspirational physiques on screen. You should
No,
look at that as a something to aspire to. But the standards for men and women are different because there is an evolutionary basis to want a guy with muscle, but also to want a guy who looks like he could ram through like a crowd of people to get you to safety.
It depends on whether it's contextually appropriate.
Correct.
In this case, it is odd to depict an up-and-coming actor heartthrob as a guy with kind of a pudgy tummy. You know, because you would think if he's playing that character would take very close attention to his appearance. So maybe with the context of who he is in the show, it doesn't make sense. He looks like a guy who, he looks like a guy who took very good care of his appearance and then for a month and a half kind of let himself go for the role.
And they love that. They love that. They love when they have to transform them. That's the other thing.
Do a cut and end up back at square one in another month and a half. Like, he doesn't look like he's fat, to be honest. No. I don't even see anybody claiming that he is.
Maybe
I've seen a lot of feminists who are like angry that there's a double standard in their opinion. That he's being given more leeway to look out of shape on screen, whereas women are far more scrutinized for their appearance on screen than men.
Also, the thing is, for a dude like this, like actors, at least the men, maybe this is true of women in different genres that I don't know about, but men, they love the idea of being told to get into a specific shape, be it bigger or smaller, and then going and doing it because it feeds into their self-image, this mythologized idea they have of their profession, which is like, I can transform, I can become a chameleon and be whatever I want to be because my art is so important.
Right.
And that's just on the basis of art nerd, right? If we're talking about a movie or a television show for something like this, I still say the great amount of actors, older and younger, are all in much better shape than a lot of people understand. And the ones that aren't, it plays into their characters.
I guess there's an added layer of irony here because he's Richard Gere's son. And every time there's a conversation about how there's this drought of traditionally masculine stars in Hollywood in the new generation of actors, Richard Gere is an example that people bring up of the golden age, as well as who else would fit in that category?
I never think of Richard Gere in
people bring him up. They do bring him up
in the context of masculinity.
Harrison Ford is
Harrison
also
Ford maybe, but I never think of. I think of Richard Gere as more of like what would have been, and granted, this is before my time. He was before my time, even my time, but like soft guy energy back in the rom-com era. He wore glasses after all.
Right. But there has been a shift in standards, and I think I remember reading an interview with the showrunners of the show about Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. What was that? I forget the name of it, but they were basically talking about how it was such a struggle to cast JFK Jr. because there is this drought of traditionally masculine stars in Hollywood these days in their 20s. And I also want to point out far more body shaming has been on my timeline directed at Sydney Sweeney in this season of Euphoria. I've seen lots of criticism of her body type, and they're claiming, I've seen a tweet that went viral that said Sydney Sweeney has the body of a middle-aged woman. And it's because her body is not trendy. That's why. And then someone replies to it and says, oh my gosh, I am never going to recover from this. I have the same body type as Sydney Sweeney, and I feel so bad about myself after seeing all these people trashing her. And this person replies, no, oh, I was just talking about her outfit and like her hairstyle. I wasn't saying that her body type is ugly. And then you see in another reply, they're just doubling down on what they originally said. There has been far more criticism of Sydney Sweeney's body than any other character in this season.
I mean, but it goes along with what they believe her politics are. This Homer Gere doesn't have that same stigma or baggage attached to it.
Yeah, and someone did rightly point out that they say it pisses them off that he gets to walk out in his underwear, but if a girl did the same scene in Euphoria, Sam Levinson would have had them butt-ass naked doing jumping jacks to go get a glass of water.
Probably true.
Man, based on what I've seen from Sydney Sweeney in the season so far, that is definitely true.
Yeah.
But let's talk about physique inflation, because I saw this other tweet showing Ryan Gosling. I don't even know what year this would have been.
Mid 2000s. I forget what movie this is from, but
they say just a while back this was the goal physique for a lot of guys. Today, it's considered mid, despite the fact that the average dude walks around at 200 pounds and 28% body fat. Physique inflation is real.
I feel like this guy, the guy who posted this, has a topless photo in his X profile. So I'm guessing he might be in a bit of a bubble.
Yeah,
and have some body dysmorphia stuff going on.
His bio says ex-chubby software engineer turned fitness coach, founder of Fitness Mastery, 1,200 plus clients served. So yeah, he's living in a bit of a bubble. Do you think that this is true, that there's been some sort of physique inflation in relation to men?
I think it's self-imposed. I think it would be. I would hope it would be self-imposed. You know, I don't see that, but again, I don't go looking for it. Like I don't see that out in public. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this is the type of thing where it's different? Like guys are expected to be at a different standard now? I don't think it really matters because okay, we were at like the local festival like that Olivia had the booth at recently. Mm-hmm. And there was a 20-something woman with a dude who had to be in his late 50s.
Okay.
He was very round. Okay.
He was rotund.
He was very rotund. And
what about her?
She was not. She was in her 20s. And my guess...
Well, I don't know. I mean, women in their 20s these days have totally let
he was not go. He was not one of these women in their 20s that are an average of 170. She was much smaller than that.
Yeah.
And we understand that this is likely because he provides her a very comfortable living. Mm-hmm. Outside of some type of statistical miracle where she's either A, into that shit, which is weird, or B, she's a saint. I'm guessing he just makes a lot of money, and that covers a lot of flaws for a lot of guys.
That's probably the case in that example. Yeah. I think these days this isn't really just an opinion, it's a fact. There is more of an emphasis on men being good looking in the dating pool than there ever used to be.
Well, what's that scale they always give where they say like women judge like least attractive at the highest level, and then like,
you don't even need to cite the OkCupid graph to prove that, because you can look at surveys of what people prioritize in their dating pool these days, and men being good looking and however you want to interpret emotionally intelligent is rated the highest priority among women these days.
Yeah.
And before men's looks just were not as high of a priority on that list.
Because back then men could provide other things that women needed. Now they don't need that. Women can provide those things for themselves.
Especially if they're dating men who are in their general age range. Mm-hmm. So that is true. There's been definitely some physique inflation, if you want to call it that. There is a more pronounced importance on men's looks than there ever has been.
Look, at the very least, guys should be looking towards it, you know, because if you want to live long enough to take care of your kids and your family, like one of the reasons that I've kind of taken to getting more exercise beyond just skating is like eventually when we have kids, I'm going to have to be able to pick those kids up, and I'm going to be able, like, I don't want to be the dad who can't run or exercise with their kids. And 30 years of skating makes that a very real possibility if I don't start trying to push back on that now and take care of myself at least a little bit more than I did before. And I think a lot of it goes to the fact that our diets in America are horrible. I fully admit that that's like mine isn't necessarily that my diet is horrible, because it's kind of offset because I'm fairly good at like not overeating, which I've gotten much better at dealing with. But you know, guys, at the very least, guys, don't let the comments in the on posts on X like this bother you, and you shouldn't look at this dude's physique as something as aspirational or just like, oh, I guess I can do this because they did it in Euphoria. You should always strive to be a little bit better.
I mean, men are less susceptible to that kind of discourse than women anyway, generally.
Yes.
These days, it's just becoming less and less of a conversation about health and more about aesthetics at the expense often of health, as we've seen from, Clavicular's recent attempt at a 110-pound bench press.
Yeah.
His looks are far more important to him than his health.
Yep. All right, let's move on. By the way, I put up a post on X while you were introducing the topic. I asked, is Tom Hardy an A-list actor? But unfortunately, I pulled a meatload and put his Tom Hard.
No,
I deleted it before anybody saw. I deleted it before anybody saw it.
Oh my
luckily,
gosh.
I caught it right away. But I have that up there on X to ask people.
I know at least one person had the screen.
No, as soon as I got it, as soon as I posted, I'm like, oh crap, and I deleted it. So hopefully,
I never edit posts. If I make a spelling error, I won't edit it. I will delete it because people can just see the old version of the post anyway. Yeah.
All right. But I left that up there I didn't leave that part up there, but I redid it so that people can weigh in if they want to over there on X. You should go and do that. All right, let's move on.
Huge controversy over on Stan Twitter. Earlier this month, Olivia Rodrigo performed in a Babydoll dress. And for some reason, this set people off. It became an entire outrage cycle. And she has finally responded to the backlash. People at the time were claiming that she was using this attire to normalize pedophilia and sexualize aesthetics that are associated with children. And I think there is more to it than that. This is a very poor attempt for her at defending her aesthetic choices, because she clearly has demonstrated she didn't put a lot of thought into it. She responded on the New York Times podcast, which I actually kind of like.
Oh, do you listen to it? Like, you listen to it?
I've listened to it, yeah. I think the host, John Caramonica, is a pretty interesting guy. But anyway, let's just show her response to that criticism.
The other things you've
a month later.
Okay, here we go.
been a lightning rod over is like the Babydoll dress.
That's been making me so upset. Not even for me. Like, I don't care. People could say
what does
whatever
it
they
mean
want.
to you? What does what's
really
mean
like
to you?
disturbing is I feel like I have worn outfits that are like maybe revealing on stage. Like, I've been on stage in like a sparkly bra and like little shorts and like, which is my right. That's fun. I felt cool and comfortable in that. And like, that wasn't inappropriate, but me like fully covered up in a dress that people deemed to be like childlike was inappropriate. And I just think it just like shows how we just like really normalize pedophilia in our culture. And also,
can you explain to me how that normalizes it?
I think she's trying to say that people had an outsized reaction to her outfit because it's already normalized.
Okay, let's continue.
It's not very articulate.
This like rhetoric that we're fed as girls since we're so little, which is like, don't wear that because then a man is going to sexualize your body and it's your fault. Like, it's so weird. And I didn't think that I looked sexy in that at all. I was like, this is so cool. I feel like I look like Kathleen Hanna or like Courtney Love, all these people who are my heroes. And I felt cool and comfortable in it. And like, I just think if we start dressing in a way that's like, oh, I don't want some freak to think that I like am sexy like a baby or like some crazy thing like that. Like, I just think it's like losing the plot a little bit. Yeah, I'm just very protective of like younger women and girls, and I don't ever want them to be like fed that rhetoric, I guess.
And also protect their right as they grow up to do
dress
whatever it is, whatever it ends up being.
It's like a weird cult. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't be responsible for some guy sexualizing you in a way that was never your intention.
Okay, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah?
Is that true? So when she says that it's not her responsibility, do you have thoughts on that? Like about being sexualized by men?
that
is how she dresses, is that her responsibility or is that the guy's responsibility?
I mean, it's both. It's both. From my understanding, if it's a conversation about modesty, both parties are responsible for themselves. But here's the weird thing about it. No men were responding to this video of her in the Babydoll dress getting all horned up over it. So I don't even know what these people who were hating on her are talking about. Like, I didn't see any men responding to it saying that they think it's super hot. And really, Olivia Rodrigo had an opportunity here to demonstrate that she is like educated about the history of music and fashion. She isn't, though, so she had very little to say on the subject. And
well, she mentioned some examples like Courtney Love.
She did mention the examples, but that only means that she's a copycat and she doesn't even understand what she's referencing. And everything she does, like most pop stars these days, is totally derivative and lacking thought. So the reason why this blew up is because people were finally, for the first time, looking into the origins of this style. And it's unfortunately named Kinderwhore. That's a label that was given to it by people other than the ones who participated in it. Even Courtney Love herself said that she didn't like the label, but it's described as a fashion style most notably worn by some female grunge and alternative rock musicians in the US during the early to mid 1990s. It's characterized through the combination of cute feminine fashion items like Babydoll and Peter Pan collared dresses with more adult aspects like smudged red lipstick and dark eye makeup. And it has this whole like feminist rationale behind it where they are performing the role of the ideal docile woman under the patriarchy, but they're going to use that aesthetic to subvert the patriarchy. So according to their own rationale, the woman who is embracing this aesthetic through this look, when its exponents are performed on stage, they stand tall and confident, throw their guitars around like weapons, and scream whip-smart feminist lyrics. They are questioning the cultural importance of typical beauty through costume and on stage. There is, a whole rationale behind it that also Courtney Love commented on. She said, I would like to think that I'm changing some psychosexual aspects of rock music. Not that I'm desirable. I didn't do the Kinderwhore thing because I thought I was hot. When I see the look used to make one more appealing, it pisses me off. So she would probably say that Olivia Rodrigo very poorly executed this concept.
It reminded me, I sent you this video, I think, like a week ago, and it reminded me of this. Did you watch this one?
Yeah, I've seen that on my feed. I think you sent it to me.
Yes. If you guys are getting an idea of how it's being satirized these days, you can listen.
It's just in. I'm a little sexy baby. I just got off the phone with my agent and he said, be a baby. Infancy sells. Sydney Sweeney had a binky on Euphoria, and Olivia Rodrigo only wears Babydoll dresses now, and they're killing it. Yes, I'm a minor. Yes, I'm 26. Those two things can both be true. I want attention, but if you give it to me, you're a sicko.
I want attention, but if you give it to me, you're a sicko.
Yeah, that satire is the opposite of the original intent behind the aesthetic. And I should mention, the Babydoll silhouette existed for decades before it was adopted by all of these feminist punk musicians. It was invented in the 40s, but even before that, a very similar silhouette was popular in the Regency era, the Empire waistline. It doesn't show the curvature of the waist. It's an Empire waistline is right below the bust. And yeah, it can be ascribed as childlike, but it was never with the intent to sexualize children. I think people were taking it way too far and also connecting it to all of these conspiracies, saying that, like, you know, this would be fine, but not in the Epstein era. And it's like, I don't even know what people are talking about anymore. Like, what do you mean that we live in the Epstein era?
Yeah.
What does that even mean at this point?
The other thing I thought was most interesting about what she said was she said, which is my right. Yes, it is your right to dress that way. But the world is reciprocal, and how you behave will end up having consequences, whether intended or unintended. And there is this endless debate about whether that's fair or not.
Well, it is just odd that she received such a strong backlash for this when there are other stars who have done the same exact thing or worse. Like Sabrina Carpenter.
She herself looks young, which is why I think it plays to it.
Yeah, but I mean, Sabrina Carpenter goes around on stage in a baby doll dress and performs, you know, simulated sex acts on stage, and nobody thinks that's a problem. Or even the backlash that Sydney Sweeney, you know, received for cosplaying as a baby on OnlyFans in Euphoria very recently didn't receive the same amount of backlash. So there was something that felt manufactured about it, but it would have been nice if Olivia Rodrigo took the opportunity to show that she has some level of forethought behind her creative decisions. But like most pop stars these days, she's totally derivative and a copycat who doesn't understand history. And she clearly is very uneducated and inarticulate. And this goes beyond just her fashion choices. It's evident in her music as well. She just put out this new single called The Cure, and it is pretty obviously copying the melody of a Sabrina Carpenter song called Nobody's Son. If you compare the choruses, it's the exact same melody, but she also sampled Everlong by the Foo Fighters, All I Wanted by Paramore, all in the same song. It was copying multiple different artists. And that's not just Olivia Rodrigo. That is Sabrina Carpenter as well. I'm sure you could do the same thing to any other artist's discography. Taylor Swift has been caught doing it. Olivia Rodrigo even had to end up paying royalties to Taylor Swift for an interpolation that she created in one of her own songs. I forget which one it was. But this is kind of a problem. Like, everybody is just repeating the same trends over and over and over again instead of coming up with an original concept. And it's like the death of creativity, essentially. She's reheating Courtney Love's nachos, and she doesn't even understand the context behind why Courtney Love dressed that way, or like the rationale behind it. Not that I necessarily like ideologically ascribe to that, because it's this radical feminist position, but you can clearly see if you look into the context, it was never intended to be normalizing PDF philia.
Well, it's kind of like getting a game of telephone. Like, the radical feminist position of the 90s has been, like, you know, passed along so much that obviously it's been diluted by the time it gets to 2026, and we live in a very different world. It's one of the reasons why I tell people that girl boss stuff in the 90s worked better, because it actually was subversive of a certain sense, right? Like, when they made M like a woman in GoldenEye in 1995, there's a point where Zarkovsky's like, I heard the new M is a lady. And in 95, you could make the argument that it was a subversive idea to do something like that. The problem is they're still trying to aspire that same level of subversion to something that's been cooked and reheated 37,000 times. Yeah. And now they're trying to add the same level of subversion to the feminist nonsense for something in 2026 as it would have had for a Courtney Love in the early 90s.
And it doesn't help either that, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Courtney Love is far more intelligent than Olivia Rodrigo. And
or at the very least, far more like required to be of her own thought, whereas Olivia Rodrigo is such a product that she doesn't need to have her own thoughts.
Right, exactly. Later in the same interview with the New York Times, she talks about how she's politically outspoken, but it makes her kind of uncomfortable that people praise her for that. She said, I really try to stay educated on things. I make a conscious effort to try my very best because I think that's important for everyone, but I don't know everything. I couldn't list a bunch of statistics about things. I'm not like a geopolitical scientist, but I am an artist. And what I do for my job is like, this is how I feel, and I present it to people. And I think it would just be disingenuous to be like, I don't feel heartbroken about what's going on in Gaza. Do you know what I mean? As an artist, I feel like that's what you do, and that's my job. I also really feel weird taking credit. I always feel like I could be doing more and saying more stuff and stuff like that.
What do you think?
She's just dumb. She's just not that bright.
Okay, there's two avenues here. Either A, she actually is an artist who feels deeply, which is possible, I suppose, and means what she's saying, or is the more sinister and cynical version of this that she says it because it's what she has to for her brand, in which case it's far more in line with what reality feels like. But both of them could come off as true. Artists are that way, but also artists will say whatever they need to remain relevant.
Honestly, I think both of those explanations would ascribe way too much calculation to someone like Olivia Rodrigo. She, by all the evidence we have, is an unthinking person. Like, she doesn't really have strong convictions about much of anything. She's not an original artist. She has a completely derivative creative vision. She has nothing to say about herself or the world or relationships. She's just profoundly uninteresting, and yet somehow the most successful pop star of her generation.
Very, very interesting. I got accused. I posted my thing on X, and somebody accused me of bait. That my Tom Hardy post is bait.
Why?
With an emoji of Tom Hardy from Mad Max too. Says that's bait.
I don't know. I think that it's a good conversation to have, because I don't think he's A-list. I genuinely think that.
All right.
Sometimes I have a take and people say that I'm rage baiting for like ad revenue or something. Like, that's not true. I just have opinions that often enrage people. Just because I have a take that enraged you doesn't mean that it's rage bait.
You have the perfect job.
Yeah. For that purpose, yeah.
All right, cringe of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
This is bad, guys. Oh my gosh. This is like the literacy crisis.
Okay, here we go.
Talk about Epstein's Island? You want to talk about all the little girls who were extorted and
evil.
fucked?
Yeah.
That was
Then why would
illegal.
you say
why
like
would
the
you
date?
say date rapist? You fucking
No,
piece of shit.
no, hang on. No, I'm not saying.
Date rapists love abortion.
Yes.
It says date rapists. You do not
Yeah.
date rapists.
No. Hang on.
No, I
Wait.
don't care what you're trying
Basic grammar.
to...
Adjective. This is so you've got
The only
You've got subject.
punctuation is this period.
yes.
The only punctuation
That's by design.
is this
So
period.
this is an adjective.
No,
Date,
you need
like-
a fucking comma
So-
then. The only punctuation
No, because-
is this period. Do
because-
not be like...
Oh my God.
And she
That's
just
not
keeps
proper
going.
grammar.
No, it is.
No,
I'm
it's
not saying.
No, it's not.
I'm not saying you should date rapists. It's
It
saying.
literally says date rapists love abortion.
No,
so if you
a-
love abortion, you should date a rapist, right?
No.
That's what you're
a date
insinuating right
rapist.
there.
Well,
No.
then put A on it.
Yeah, put
Like-
a comma. You
Put a
have
comma.
actual
I can't believe this is real.
A or something.
punctuation.
No. That's not how English works.
No, you can't come back from this.
You can't come back from that. Flip
There
it-
is
flip it to the other side.
genuinely no coming
You are-
back
you
from
are-
This is
you are
what
this
100%
No, you
doing
are-
it where it
this
comes
says-
off wrong.
This is
Date
surreal.
rapists
No.
love abortion.
Date rapist. So.
Let's break it down.
what that
Let's
says.
Let's break it down.
Where should the comment?
For real.
All right.
Comma should be right here.
Okay. So.
For real.
But that would change it to date rapists.
Comma,
Love abortion.
Love abortion. You're
Yeah.
saying that if you love abortion, you should date rapists.
That's what this
That's
says
what
right here.
that says right there. There is no
Oh my God.
Have you graduated high school?
period. You want to talk about
There was not a single moment of self-reflection.
From any of them. From any, like, all the women were, from what I could see, were agreeing with the
Oh my
woman.
gosh. Like, people have zero understanding of the English language.
I wonder if it's possible that like halfway through she realized she fucked up and just had to keep going.
I don't think so.
Because that's what would happen to me. I would get really indignant, and then halfway through, I'd be like, fuck.
Nah, I don't think she realized that she was in the wrong, like, even after walking away from the conversation. Like, she genuinely was, like, so committed to that interpretation. It was just... And if you realize what the sign actually means, you could have a substantive argument, right? But no, like, that was just out the window from the get-go.
I mean, she could have been plenty mad at his comment because she could have still been pro-choice and you know.
Yes, exactly. They could have had a debate about the message of the sign if she understood the message. Has she ever heard the term date rapist before?
Maybe
Like,
not.
I guess not. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore. People need to, like... Actually, this is why I always say mass literacy was a mistake. Because people don't, they read the words, they recognize like the phonics, but they don't know what these words mean, and they never will.
You just what you just saw right there is one of the reasons why I'm so hesitant to get to have like super hot takes about anything, because there's like an 80% chance that I read it wrong anyways. Story of my life. All right, cute of the day, and this is a good one here from Bookstore Thor. Phineas and Fiona. We think Phineas is part Burmese and Fiona is a Norwegian forest cat.
Aw, I love the little nose.
Yep, right there. This is very cute.
Very cute. I love the names too. That's cute.
All right, everybody, get your reading books out. Practice your literacy.
Yeah.
So that never happens to you. Let's move on. Let's talk about Freedom 250. It's a disaster, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I would say this is one of the prime examples of the right losing the culture war once again. So there was this massive weeks-long event planned by a nonprofit named Freedom 250, whose purpose, according to them, is delivering presidential-level celebrations for our nation's 250th birthday. And they claim to be nonpartisan. However, that is not the opinion of a bunch of artists that they booked for the Great American State Fair. This was to be held in Washington, D.C. over the course of multiple weeks. And just yesterday, they released the official poster showing all of the artists that were lined up to perform at these events. And so far, a majority of them have dropped out of the lineup because I guess they felt misled by the intent of the organization. And they felt like they were lied to about what the purpose of it really was. Here's what they tweeted out yesterday. The lineup for the Great American State Fair is here, and it's bringing the hits. Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Vanilla Ice, Milli Vanilli, The Commodores, Morris Day and The Time, Flo Rida, and Bret Michaels, many more. 16 days, 56 states and territories, one unforgettable celebration of America's 250th, live on the National Mall. So now I believe 5 of those artists have dropped out. Yeah. It could be more if we haven't seen an update on the situation 1, 2, 3, 4, yet.
5. No, so we've got, so this is from USA Today, and this was updated the 29th, so today, right? It says, this is your list of artists that have since dropped out of the performance.
One of them dropped out and then went back in.
Oh,
so
well, this says...
We'll get to the details.
This says Morris Day, Young MC, Milli Vanilli, The Commodores, Martina McBride, and Bret Michaels.
Yes. So it started out on Thursday, I believe. Rapper Young MC became the second artist to publicly back out of the government-sponsored festival taking place on the National Lawn in D.C. His exit was followed by Morris Day's statement earlier on Wednesday that he and The Time would have nothing to do with the newly announced series, an outgrowth of the Independence Day initiative started by the Trump administration. Meanwhile, a third artist that had been announced Wednesday, C&C Music Factory frontman Freedom Williams, posted a profanity-laced 8-minute-long message in which he initially said that he had planned to back out of the show after learning about Trump's involvement. Then he backtracked and said C&C Music Factory might go ahead with the gig after all, to show that he was impervious to the backlash and could not be told what to do by angry commenters.
Yes, see, that's what you need. You need to have a contrarian in there who's not willing to be bullied.
But then it's like, if you felt like you didn't want to be involved in it, then just stand by what you said originally. That was really weird of him. Then Martina McBride was the fourth artist to announce that she is backing out of the event with this following statement online. I would like to talk to you and clear the air. I will not be performing at the Great American State Fair on June 25th. I was presented with an opportunity to perform at a nonpartisan event, but that turned out to be misleading. I asked lots of questions and was assured this was a nonpartisan event that was meant to celebrate all 50 states. In my mind, I thought this was a great way to celebrate the states and bring people together in the way that only music can. I saw it as just a bigger version of so many state fairs I've performed at over the years, celebrating community and what makes each state special. Sounds fun, right? Wholesome, even. Yesterday, things started changing, and what we were told is in fact not what is happening. I've spent my entire career singing songs about real people with real issues. I've been blessed with the opportunity to be a voice for those who have felt they didn't have one. It greatly upsets me that any fan who has been moved by my music may now feel like I'm abandoning the meaning behind those songs. I assure you, that is not the case. I appreciate every single fan who has reached out. I hope to get back to the DC area very soon. So that is quite transparently a reaction to the backlash she received for being on the lineup, not her own personal opinion. And then the latest to drop out was Bret Michaels. And he also released his own statement on Instagram saying, I wanted to jump on here and talk about the upcoming Freedom 250 event. When this opportunity was originally presented to my team, it was described as a celebration of our country through music and a chance to honor our veterans, active military, first responders, teachers, and hardworking Americans from all walks of life. As the son of a veteran and coming from a family that has proudly served, that is something I've always been honored to support. As many of you know, I've spent my entire career bringing people together through music, positivity, and good vibes. My shows have never been about politics. They're about giving people a place to come together, have a great time, and forget about life's stresses for a few hours. Unfortunately, what was presented to us as a celebration of our country has evolved into something much more divisive than what I agreed to be a part of. Concerns have also been raised regarding the safety of my fans, band, crew, family, and myself, including threats that are completely unfounded and unforgivable. Because of that, I have made the difficult decision to step away from this performance. This isn't about politics. It's about staying true to what I've always believed in. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. That's one of the freedoms our veterans fought for, and something I've always respected. But as a father, friend, and bandmate, I have to take threats and safety concerns seriously. I believe in our country, the freedoms we are afforded, and in the idea that for over 250 years, we have gone through both highs and lows together and remained resilient. Music is a universal language that unites us, not divides us, just like it did when I entertained a record-breaking crowd of over 100,000 at the St. Louis Arch for an Independence Day celebration with people from across the country who came together to honor our freedoms through music. The focus was on the music, the fans, and celebrating together. I'll continue to proudly support our veterans, active military members, teachers, first responders, and the organizations that serve them, just as I always have. I also want my amazing fans in DC to know that I love you all, and I fully intend to come back and perform in our nation's capital under circumstances where the focus can remain on what it should be, the music and the fans. In the meantime, we'll keep the live and amplified tour rocking, and I look forward to seeing you all out on the road soon, said with much love, gratitude, and respect. Your friend, Brett.
I saw I think I saw like a banner for him playing over here in like the West Virginia area coming up soon, or maybe it already happened. In the Variety post talking about it, it says a majority of the messages on his post congratulated Michaels for making the move that he did, with many saying that they would have had a hard time continuing to listen to his music if he had gone on at that festival that many identify with the president and the MAGA movement. But some disappointed conservatives fans pointed out that Michaels' comments about threats were the clearest part of his post, and that his exit might have more to do with that than any disavowal of Trump or his initiatives.
Okay. I mean, I would understand it if it were really a safety issue, but I think a lot of these artists are more worried about the perception. And I don't know all of the information about Freedom 250, the organization itself. I saw someone claim that this is because it was originally a left-leaning nonprofit organization, but Trump came in and gutted the ideological bias toward the left and replaced people who are loyal to his agenda in the organization. Therefore, it's now MAGA coded. And I agree with that. If you look at the lineup for the event, there is a lot of it that is definitely biased in favor of the Trump administration. There's even one of the days that's labeled Maha Monday. So, I mean, it's definitely an openly partisan series of events. I would agree with that take.
There is no real nonpartisan event anymore.
Yeah, no.
It's not
That's
possible.
just not really possible at this point, especially if it has anything to do with patriotism or having any sort of positive feelings whatsoever about your own country. That's a sad reality, but it is reality nonetheless.
So they've tried to walk it back, because for a long time, people have just generally believed that if you love America, you're probably right wing, because a lot of leftist ideology lays a lot of blame at the feet of the American founders. I saw I was mentioning this on the episode the other day. There was a Time magazine article about America's 250, or like magazine, like special edition about America's founding. And it said like, about our heroic forefathers. I couldn't even believe that a mainstream publication would print something like that in the year 2026. But in general, I've seen a lot of political signs from Democrats that are trying to kind of co-opt and walk back that hatred of America that we know is there, but it lies in the underbelly of the party rather than necessarily, and it's there to catch the people who are not so politically initiated that they understand just how much
the older Democrats
who don't understand just how much the modern young left hates America, whether it's through academia, whether it's through people within their own party. So there was a conversation that I used to have where I don't remember who I was talking to, but they were saying like when you go door knocking, to like raise awareness about a campaign or an election, they said if you see an American flag in front of a house, they just assume they're right wing. And I said, I think that no, I disagree. Like I said, I for one, and now maybe if you're in a specific state, you could say that that's true. Like if you're in a heavy blue state, maybe somebody puts a flag out there. It's a sign of some type of, pushback. But like I said, I used to work for a lady who was a blue dog Democrat, union types, and they loved guns. And I'm like, you do understand that your party wants to get rid of guns, right? And your party doesn't. Like she flew an American flag outside of their home. She didn't understand where the party was going. And there are plenty of older people who fly an American flag who don't realize how far left the hatred for America has become. And they're trying to walk that back now with signs that say pro-America, anti-Trump. It's a very common sign that I see these days. So it's not that cut and dry.
You could even see that in the aesthetics of the No Kings protests all over the country.
It's like somebody was like, give them American flags and give them some like positive imagery.
Yeah, they were trying to sort of reappropriate patriotic aesthetics to seem more favorable to normies.
It'll never actually work long term, at least not to anybody that actually pays attention to the policies or anything like that, but I get the point.
Overall, this has just been a massive embarrassment. Organizers are allegedly refusing to pay people, announcing acts that were never actually booked. crapping the bed across the board in ways we couldn't believe. And if I hadn't heard it directly from eyewitnesses, President Trump should take this thing over, rescue it, and make the greatest, grandest, most patriotic event our nation has ever seen. Here's the problem with that. They're scapegoating the nonprofit, Freedom 250, for everything that's gone wrong in this event. And it is still a partisan organization in favor of the Trump administration. So this was definitely an event that was going to be endorsed fully by the Trump administration. There's no such thing as Trump, swooping in to rescue it after this. And it's also been rightly criticized that we have this instinct on the right to be desperate for approval from celebrities, no matter who.
Yep.
And
that is a very real thing.
Even Walsh offered a potential solution here, which would be putting together a lineup of artists who are not necessarily famous, but just good at music. The unfortunate reality, though, if they attempted to do that, is most of those artists would be just as much opposed to the event in spirit as the artists who have dropped out so far.
I did see this on a Matt Walsh tweet that said Marco Rubio realizing he has to be Bret Michaels now.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. It almost fooled me. I was like, wait a minute. Is this real? Like, I believe anything at this point because of the fact that reality is just so absurd.
I can't think of... So you can't go the washed up artist route anymore. The washed up artists depend on touring and their old boomer audience that's probably going to find it divisive. What you need to find are throw their care to the wind young artists that are willing to fly in the face of what the establishment says. And even then, there ain't a whole lot of those out there.
I was kind of saying this as a joke, but kind of not. Like, I think if they had reached out to Ella Langley, this rising country star, she might have agreed to do it, and she has a huge fan base now. She also, as we noted, follows the Charlie Kirk show on TikTok. She talks about her faith very often. And no, she's not, a loud and proud MAGA supporter, but that's not what this event was intended to do anyway. It wasn't supposed to be MAGA coded, at least not explicitly. But the problem here is like the same as the Turning Point halftime show. A bunch of people responded to it and said, well, they could have had this person or this person or this person, Carrie Underwood, whoever. But, you don't think that behind the scenes they reached out to a lot of these same names that you're suggesting, and those people said no because they just don't want to be associated with it.
Get Pitbull. I still say get Pitbull. I would be willing to bet that they haven't reached out to Pitbull yet. Get Mr. Worldwide. He's always talking about, how he loves America.
But he's now Mr. Nationwide.
He needs to be Mr. Nationwide. And you know what? Get Adam Carolla to do a comedy set. He just had his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I just don't see any way to salvage this at this point. And they're only days away from when it's supposed to start. Like, how do they even respond now? What do they do?
I think Lydia posted something like get the marching bands and get those types of groups to do this, right? That would be a good way to do that. And that kind of feels more like a military parade anyways. Something like that. I think that's a good idea.
It's just,
you know what? Get
doesn't look good right now.
Snoop Dogg will do literally anything, okay? Snoop Dogg did the crypto ball.
But even he denounced it after the fact. He didn't denounce it, but he said, like, I'm not associated with all the Trump stuff. I just went because it's the crypto ball.
Well, he can do that in this case then. Then you say, I'm not associated with Trump. I'm here to celebrate America.
I don't know.
He's like, I have 100,000. He's like, I pay a blunt roller $100,000 a year, and America made that possible.
They're about their business at the end of the day. If they feel like it's going to hurt their business, which, maybe it will, they're not going to do it. And I saw a lot of responses on X from Trump supporters, Republicans, who say, to Martina McBride, for instance, I'm going to boycott you now.
Yeah.
I'm going to block you on Spotify and I'm never going to listen to your music again. They don't care. Trust me, they do not care. And I guarantee the fans that said they were unhappy with the decision to do the event, there are more of them than there are of you who will boycott artists that drop out of it. Okay,
Michael,
it's just they don't care that you're boycotting them. It doesn't matter.
Someone named or Michael Tracy says, in his place, Kash Patel should drunkenly lead the crowd in a heartfelt rendition of "Every Rose Has Its Thorn."
Hey, you know what? At this point, get Vivek Ramaswamy to go up there and perform some Eminem songs.
Oh my gosh, that's what we need to do
F it.
right
Who
this
even
second.
cares anymore?
All right.
It's so like tacky. It's so classless. It's so messy. There's no dignity. There's no pomp and circumstance associated with the event to begin with, even the way it was planned. And now that the majority of the artists have dropped out of the lineup, it's even more embarrassing.
Yeah.
I agree with that they would be more like tonally appropriate to have a marching band.
Get
or a symphony, whatever.
Olivia yesterday suggested why didn't they get Nicki Minaj? She's loud and proud these days. That's like the closest thing you can get to somebody who'll like do it just because F you. But she's probably busy.
Is she gonna be family friendly about it? Like, probably not. They probably wanted to reach out to her, but then they realized like,
her playlist does not abide.
She can't perform that stuff in front of children.
All right, let's move on. We have a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, having been in Washington, D.C. on July 4th, 1976 for the big celebration, I find this potential dumpster fire so sad.
Yeah, it was unfortunate and avoidable.
All right, let's move on. Tom Hardy.
Well, you guys know by now that I love me some good old-fashioned tabloid fodder about a celebrity being a diva on a film set. And this time, it's Tom Hardy. Just last week, Variety reported that he got fired from Mobland on Paramount+. Then they walked it back just yesterday, saying he was not, in fact, fired, and discussions are underway for his return. And they go into detail about all of the creative clashes that have happened behind the scenes. He is starring in the show alongside Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan. There are suggestions that Tom Hardy could be written out of the show seamlessly. They wouldn't lose too many viewers in doing so, but they're trying their hardest to avoid that outcome. They say despite rumors swirling last week that the actor would not return for a third season, sources confirmed that discussions are underway to find a way for Tom Hardy, who plays Harry D'Souza in the Paramount show, to come back. A source close to production told Variety that Tom was not fired, the door is not closed for season 3, and things are being worked through creatively. The show, which stars Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren as the heads of a British crime family, was co-created by Ronan Bennett and Jez Butterworth and is produced by David Glasser's 101 Studios, along with MTV Entertainment Studios. Guy Ritchie is an executive producer and directed a number of episodes across both seasons. So mainly, Tom Hardy has been butting heads with Jez Butterworth and David Glasser, and Guy Ritchie was sort of a buffer in that process. However, he has also had to step away from directing. And as there have been jobbing TV directors stepping into his place, they're not seen as authorities by Tom Hardy. He doesn't respect them, and they find him quite intimidating. So he's able to steamroll them with all of his demands about script changes in the middle of filming that they don't have the authority to make. Season 1 of Mobland dropped in 2025 and fast became one of the most watched shows on Paramount+. Season 2 is wrapped, but is yet to launch. They did note that they have reshoots to do for Season 2 with Tom Hardy, while Season 3 was set to go into production with Tom Hardy reprising his role this fall. I'm sure that Guy Ritchie is probably pushing David Glasser to make it work. Guy likes working with Tom. Reports that Tom Hardy would not be returning after falling out with Jez Butterworth and David Glasser first appeared in Puck, Variety understands the tensions were real, but that Tom Hardy was not officially fired, and the trio are currently trying to resolve their creative differences. So the cause of the fallout is a combination of factors, including reports of Tom Hardy's tardiness on set and insistence on rewriting some of the script. This is something he's notorious for, not showing up for shoot time and leaving his co-stars just standing there with their dicks in their hands, waiting for him to show up for hours. And it's incredibly unprofessional, but for some reason, he thinks that he has special permission to act this way. Insiders note that there is apparently fault on both sides. He's difficult, but he's a movie star. Others point out that the tensions could have been amicably resolved sooner, but the leaks from sources alleging that he was fired inflamed the situation, causing the drama to drag on. Hardy was displeased because Jez Butterworth was delivering scripts late, sometimes just a week before shooting, which clashed with his ability to rehearse. He's also said to be very into method acting and getting it just right and scrutinizing every last moment of dialogue and choreography. Jez Butterworth was also not present on set, meaning he could not deal with script issues as they arose. The only people that he really speaks to is David Glasser.
So she delivered scripts late. So she was not doing her job, and he wasn't a fan of her not doing her job.
Jez Butterworth is a guy, by the way. But yes.
Whatever. She, they, whatever.
So there was some tardiness on both sides, but I would say delivering a script a week before filming is not quite as bad as not showing up to set for 5 hours. And according to the production source, very few people on the cast or crew have anything to do with Jez Butterworth, and we never see him. Now, there were reports to the contrary. It's hard to say what's really true. However, his absence on set proved difficult when Tom Hardy requested the occasional script change. I kind of doubt that they were all that occasional. It sounds like he is kind of a control freak and wants to make changes way more often than is suggested. Mm-hmm. His ideas are sound, and he wants them taken seriously. Jez Butterworth kind of hasn't got the time to deal with those notes, so it becomes problematic. And he's spread too thin. You see, his last name is Butterworth, and he's being spread too thin. Anyway, he's taken on too many jobs. And on the episodes directed by Guy Ritchie, Butterworth's absence wasn't as problematic because Guy Ritchie has the authority and experience to fix a script on the fly. Having said that, he doesn't do it very often. Butterworth's absence became more difficult when Guy Ritchie passed the baton to a rotating cast of directors, of which there were 3 on season 1. At that point, if Tom Hardy had an issue with the script, the director can't suddenly turn around and go, well, let's rewrite the scene, because they don't have the authority to do that. They also didn't have much authority over Tom Hardy either. He's used to dealing with some of the best directors in the world. So when he suddenly is with a jobbing TV director, he struggles to a certain extent. He can walk all over them because they're intimidated by him. So he's like measuring all of them up to like Christopher Nolan. Mm-hmm. That's not exactly fair, but you can't walk into a TV role with that attitude. Because you're the one that took the job.
Yes. And the thing
if you
is,
think that you're above that, don't do a TV role.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any similar stories about him in that situation when he was on Peaky Blinders, but that, that's like 13 episodes over the course of like a decade or something like that, so it's not really the same thing. There were like similar stories, I was like looking it up earlier, of him being, he's kind of described as like a loner who takes his job really, really seriously and probably doesn't realize or care that he rubs people the wrong way. And as his star elevated, it matters even less because he has more power and control over the set. There was like this thing, it says he was in Star Trek Nemesis in 2002, like earlier in his career. And Patrick Stewart described him as odd and solitary. Like he wouldn't engage with the set. He wouldn't say hello. He wouldn't say goodbye. He would go to his trailer when he wasn't needed. And then when he was called to set, he would come and do his job and then leave. And maybe it just didn't occur to him, or he just simply doesn't care. to be social because he's like, I'm here to do a job. I'm going to do that job. And people can come from different schools of thought where your ability to develop a rapport with your cast members matters. And some people say, my job is to show up, give the best performance that I can. And if you're not super in tune emotionally, which would make him different than the average actor who does seem to be more emotional, like overly emotionally in tune than they should be, even because it plays a part in like being able to access whatever they're doing. It kind of rubs people the wrong way.
But here's the thing, though. If you want to be perceived as, or if you actually are the guy who takes the job really seriously, no one is going to see it that way if you're unprofessionally late. Yes. And you need a babysitter, which is essentially how they describe Guy Ritchie. He is the official babysitter on duty for Tom Hardy and his shit. Yeah. And Tom Hardy only respects someone that he's had a long, drawn-out rapport with. So they also mention his co-stars and how they feel about him.
Making Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren wait is crazy work. Like you have to be you have to either be delusional or of a certain level of status to ever make actors of that caliber wait.
I think it's a little bit of both, but mostly delusion. While Tom Hardy's lateness was frustrating for Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan, any actor is frustrated when they're made to wait a couple of hours. A couple of hours is maybe understating it. I know Helen has said to him a couple of times, come on, Tom, we've been here for ages. Let's get on with it. But she has never appeared to be anti-Tom. They dismissed any suggestion, this is important, that the actors have fallen out over politics. Somehow, this whole narrative got twisted into a row over politics between Tom Hardy and Helen Mirren, because Helen Mirren is a Zionist and supposedly Tom Hardy feels the opposite way. He supports Palestine. That's totally unfounded, according to this source. They've never heard of anything political. It's probably wildly unhelpful and untrue to suggest that.
She's like, I'm going to genocide your career if you don't hurry up and get to set.
They say Helen Mirren is not that sort of person. If she had a problem with Tom Hardy, she would have said to his face, let's just stop wasting everyone else's time and get on with it. But that's as far as it went. She's not the sort of person who's going to get involved in a whole political situation. She certainly isn't going to be the one who stamps her feet and says, I'm not coming back if he's in it. It's just not her. She even posted this. Do you have this on Instagram? She is so boomer tech. She posted this like blurry Getty image of Tom Hardy on her Instagram, like hard posted it on her feed with the caption, love you now and always, Helen.
And the text is in like the worst place because it like covers it up on his neck. I think I used the same picture for my post.
Like this was her trying to reach out to him with an act of goodwill.
If I remember correctly, he was like a severe drug user when he was younger and got sober back in like the early 2000s. So he's probably used to dealing with things his own way, and it doesn't necessarily play well with others.
Right. Well, I mean, the account of how he behaved on the filming of Mad Max Fury Road is far worse than anything we've gone over here. So maybe he's mellowed out over the years. But him and Charlize Theron, more than just butted heads on set, they were like sworn enemies during filming. She compared it in an excerpt from the book about the making of the movie. It was like two parents in the front of the car. We were either fighting or icing each other out. I don't know which one is worse. They had to deal with it in the back. It was horrible. We shouldn't have done that. We should have been better. I can own up to that. She shows a remarkable level of accountability for the fact that she was the one being professional and showing up on set, not just on time, but early. She was dedicated to not wasting people's time and money. That's the thing. When you waste people's time, you're also wasting the money that the studio has invested in the production. So it's not just inconveniencing people. It's making the movie more expensive by the minute. So here's one detail that's in line with everything about Mobland. He would want justification for every bit of choreography, not just in the actual action, but in the pre-setup of the action and everything else. Charlize, her basic want was simple. I just want to effing kill him. Let's shoot it. The day that we were rehearsing the fight scene when they first meet, you could see the tension in the air. It was unbelievable. We get dailies sometimes for sequences if we need to cut a shot longer, and some of that was the chain wrench fight by the tanker. And boy howdy was it clear that those two hated each other. They didn't want to touch each other. They didn't even want to look at each other. They wouldn't face each other if the camera wasn't actively rolling. Charlize Theron added, I don't want to make excuses for bad behavior, but it was a tough shoot. I have a very clear perspective now on what went down. I don't think I had that clarity when we were making the movie. I was in survival mode. I was scared shitless. And they also try to write this off as a method acting exercise between the two of them, but it actually was very one-sided because they're playing into the dynamic between their characters in the movie by starting out in this antagonistic way, but then learning to have a mutual respect for each other over time. That's just something that doesn't need to bleed into your real working relationship as much as it did. And it culminated in a huge blowout fight where Charlize Theron is called to set at 8 o'clock in the morning. She sits in the war rig. And she ends up sitting there for, I think, 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, waiting for Tom Hardy.
Full makeup.
Yep. They said she's knowing that Tom was never going to be there at 8, even though they made a special request for him to be there on time. He was notorious for never being on time in the morning. If the call time was in the morning, forget it. He didn't show up. Whether that was some kind of power play or not, we don't know. It felt deliberately provocative. If you ask me, he knew that it was really pissing Charlize off because she's a professional and turns up really early. There was an additional layer to this that she was a new mom at the time, and she wanted to have knowledge of what her schedule would be ahead of time so that she could be present with her kids. So it gets to 9 o'clock. He still hasn't shown up. They ask her if she wants to get out of the war rig. She refuses. She doesn't even take a bathroom break because she's trying to prove a point that she is where she's supposed to be. And it gets to 11 o'clock. And now she's sitting there with her makeup on, full costume for 3 hours. He finally turns up and walks casually across the desert. She jumps out of the war rig and starts swearing her head off at Tom, saying, find the effing, see you next Tuesday, $100,000 for every minute that he has held up this crew. How disrespectful you are. She was right. She screams it. It's so loud. It's so windy. He might have heard some of it, but he charged up to her and went, what did you say to me? He was quite aggressive. She really felt threatened. And that was the turning point because then she said, I want someone as protection. She then had a producer who was assigned to be with her at all times. And that specifically was requested to be a female producer.
I don't know what that's going to do about it. I don't know how that's going to help, but
maybe she thinks a female producer would be better as a mediator and mellowing out conflict situations. But that's the problem.
I thought the idea was that he wasn't he's not going to respect anybody that isn't the director. So unless what's his name is going to actually, I almost said George Romero, unless he's going to actually have somebody he respects talking to him, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, which, it shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the case that he'll only take direction from somebody that he knows and respects.
So unless George Miller was to come up to him and be like, this.
I mean, maybe he tried. He actually did talk about this after the fact in 2023. And he said that it was at the point where he had to be coaxed out of his trailer. Like they're treating him like a wild animal. He said Tom has a damage to him, but also a brilliance that comes with it. And whatever was going on with him at the time, he had to be coaxed out of his trailer. When Charlize was incredibly disciplined, a dancer by training, which told in the precision of her performance, and always she was the first one on set. I'm an optimist, so I saw their behavior as mirroring their characters, where they had to learn to cooperate in order to ensure mutual survival. There's no excuse for it, and I think there's a tendency in this business to use great performances as an excuse for other disruption that could be avoided.
I think this is not this specifically, but Val Kilmer was always kind of labeled as difficult to work with. I think Edward Norton is seen the same way. Like, there are just some actors that are, maybe they're self-centered because they draw money. Therefore, they feel like, look, I have the credits to back up my ego. He was #1 on the call sheet in Mad Max, and that doesn't make it right. Be on time, quit wasting everybody's time. You're costing the studio money.
Yeah.
You're making everybody's life harder for them. But the point is these people get inflated egos because they have the numbers to back it up. I was curious. So it says that he was the #1 actor in the world according to IMDb in 2012, 2015, and 2017. So for whatever reason that may be, whatever people think of him, it seems like he's got a very, I don't want to say damaged spirit, but he has a very confrontational approach to his profession, which is already something that probably doesn't always play well in an industry that's so focused on feelings, at least on the acting side of things, maybe not on the producing side of things, but on the acting side of things. I was just reading a thing the other day where Nicolas Cage was talking about directors who get offended. Like, he basically said like Christopher Nolan reached out to him in like the early 2000s to work with him, and he said no, he had something else he was doing, and he like never called him back after that because he was offended that he wouldn't do a movie with him.
Yeah, I would assume actually that this kind of behavior is more common in directors than in actors. Like, would you agree with that?
Maybe. I mean, what are you thinking, like David O. Russell or something like that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of David O. Russell.
Christian Bale is considered very, because Christian Bale is a perfectionist. This is probably the opposite end of the spectrum. He's a perfectionist. He's a professional. And he wants it done a certain way. So he's yelling at that guy on the set of Terminator Salvation. Oh, good for you, because you don't know how to do your freaking job.
Yeah.
It's the funny thing. There was a very interesting tweet about this that said, "Isn't it interesting that sets that have tons of conflict oftentimes turn out incredible results? Because all of the professionals involved care about what they're doing. They care enough about it to fight." Maybe the reason superhero movies don't turn out great anymore is because the actors are like, I look stupid. I'm wearing spandex. I don't care whether it goes well or not. So they don't care. Christian Bale would have cared as Batman to make sure that it turned out the way that it needed to turn out.
I mean, I would say it's not just apathy that can be a predictor for bad product, but when the whole press tour is about the love fest between all of the cast and crew, then I know they were so up their own asses, they weren't paying attention to the excellence of the product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's way too much of that on press tours now, where everyone has to pretend that they're best friends, or they have to do some sort of showmance performance on the press tour. I don't care whether the co-stars are BFFs in real life. Not one bit.
No. I mean, if anything, I think people find there's something alluring about the idea of people not getting along, but having to be able to fake it on set.
Yeah. I mean, Fury Road was no, like, masterpiece, if you ask me, but, like, it was good.
Yeah.
It was basically good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of actors like that who didn't necessarily get along all the time on set, but had great chemistry while working together. So.
But compare that to Furiosa, though.
Yeah.
And they had totally changed their philosophy of what was going to be the culture on set between Anya Taylor-Joy and, was it Chris Hemsworth? Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It was like a totally different set of rules. We're going to do it the right way this time. We're not going to let you guys do to us what Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy did to us. And they were obsessive, as they put it, about safety, but also not just physical safety, psychological safety. So it was a very different environment that time around. And you can kind of see the difference in the final product of the movie, which wasn't great.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown is in a nepotism gap relationship with her husband, whom she married in 2024, Jake Bon Jovi. He is, of course, John Bon Jovi's son. He was raised in wealth. He has never known a day's work in his life, whereas Millie Bobby Brown, on the other hand, has been working since childhood, financially supporting her family. She comes at money with a very different mindset, and that's evident in everything that she has said about their relationship dynamic publicly. Now, I think that they seem to be very much in love. They have now adopted a daughter together, and they seem to have their hearts in the right place. I don't agree with all the people that are rooting for their downfall as a couple. There are legitimately people advocating for them to get a divorce, which I think is gross. But she has definitely not been careful enough about the tidbits she shares on their relationship in interviews. And it usually makes Jake Bon Jovi sound like an entitled silver spoon brat. She inadvertently incited a wave of criticism against her husband recently after airing her grievance about his annoying travel habit in an interview. This was actually an interview from August 2025, but it's making the rounds once again. It was the first time I had seen it. It was a pet peeve of hers that he basically doesn't pack before going on trips. Let's play the clip, and then we'll get into some of the responses.
From which post? I'm sorry.
From Twitter.
Twitter?
Yeah.
This one here? Okay, here we go.
What's your biggest travel pet peeve? My husband, he doesn't pack any clothes, just ever. So we'll like leave and I'll have a big suitcase and he has nothing with him, just his phone, never really a charger, usually just steals mine, and then takes his computer and then goes, Mill, I don't have any clothes. And I go, no shit, Sherlock, you didn't pack anything. And he goes, yeah, I don't know, maybe I just have to go shopping here. And that.
Why did her voice suddenly like lose its accent when she said the word here?
She goes in and out of it because she's been outside of the UK
So he likes
so long.
to not pack, to then go to a place to go shop for the trip that he didn't pack for.
Okay, so there's two possibilities here. One, she knows it's going to piss people off, and she secretly hates the guy. Or B, she's so in love, she doesn't understand that this is going to annoy people and find it childish. And
I think it's the latter.
You think she's so in love with this guy that she doesn't realize that other people aren't going to see what's whimsical about this concept?
Yeah, I do. I think that she thinks of this as an endearing pet peeve, but that's because she loves him and nobody on the internet feels the way that she does about her husband. The first quote tweet here that I see says, a literal man-child born with a silver spoon in his mouth, married to a woman who has been working and taking care of her family since she was a child. It'll be interesting to see how long this lasts. People are, seeing a bad omen in the sky. They're predicting an early divorce. Another one said, every time she talks about him, she proves even more that he is a spoiled brat. Holy shit, he sounds unbearable. Another one said, this is why men are all for women marrying young, because no woman in her 30s would find this endearing. It's actually so wrong. So many women in their 30s would find this endearing.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yes. And, this is interesting because some of them are going to explain this away as a Nepo baby and a non-Nepo baby navigating a relationship in their early 20s. But I actually see a lot of content about the same general concept from ordinary people with ordinary lives.
Yeah.
Hence why I bring up this Instagram reel from an influencer couple, Micah and Sarah. They just posted this a week ago, and it's literally the same concept. It says, POV, you didn't help your husband pack for once. Okay. And
if he bought her that wedding ring, I don't think it matters. That's a very large rock.
That
on her
is,
hand.
in fact, her left hand. Yes.
Okay. I mean, no. I guess if it's a phone, it would be.
Yes,
reversed?
it is her left. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So you can see him walking down the beach in jorts and socks and sneakers. I don't know, man. It's looking like he didn't prepare very well for this beach trip.
Yeah, but she clearly hates her husband. Otherwise, she wouldn't make stuff like this. Or he's okay with her making stuff like this, which is designed to berate him.
I won't project this onto Millie Bobby Brown in particular, but I do agree with you in principle that when it comes to this specific genre of social media content about lazy, stupid, incompetent husbands. It's always their wives posting it. And you wonder, like, why is it that you're sharing this with the world instead of something positive? And they always reliably get the same response in the comment section, which is people talking shit about their husbands. And then usually the way that the wife responds is with a follow-up video saying, you guys don't know our lives. You're judging based off of a 60-second clip. My husband is a great guy. I am in love with him. He is an amazing husband and father. How dare you assume all of this about his character? And that's the response that they have on the surface. But then I, being my cynical self, I assume there's something subconscious happening here, you know, under the surface. They premeditate that there will be a massive backlash to the video they originally post. And they're using the audience online of strangers to say for them what they secretly feel about their husbands, that they don't have the guts to say out loud with their own mouth. They're using the internet strangers as a mouthpiece for all of their suppressed negative feelings.
So you think
about
that
their
they,
husbands.
you think that they believe it, but they're literally so they're so compartmentalized that they can't even admit it to themselves?
Yes, and people
wow.
are very good at that. They're very good at lying to themselves and denying responsibility for their own desires and feelings. And even when they get to make the follow-up video, they feel like such a hero for defending their husbands instead of just never posting the unflattering moment in the first place, which would have been more honorable. So I've seen that pattern play out far too many times to just write it off as, oh, they didn't foresee how people would respond. This is a well-known trend. And by the way, this same anecdote has been shared by Millie Bobby Brown in the past. She spoke with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy and shared her biggest pet peeve with her husband is that he is always feeling the need to buy designer clothes instead of something like Target brand or Amazon basics.
Here we go. That just sounds like a virtue signal, but here we go.
Likely to splurge on a big purchase?
My husband.
Really? What is he getting?
Like, he'll just, like, if he sees something, like, I'll be like, oh, I need socks. And he'll be like, let's go to Prada. And I'm like, let's go to Target. Like, what? Like, he's just like that kind of guy. Like, he loves to go shopping. And he will refuse to pack a suitcase because he likes to go shopping in the place we're going. That's what he does. Whereas I'm like, Amazon basics. Like, I love that. Like,
well, when you grow up with wanted dead or alive money, you don't have to go to Amazon basics. And this is just like, I know that this is maybe not the popular take, but this is just a weird virtue signal. It's a rich person virtue signal. Oh, plebs, I shop at the same stores of detritus that you do.
I've never seen Millie Bobby Brown at a Target before.
I shop at the same...
she means that she'll send her assistant to Target.
I too push through the refuse and the bodies and shop at the pleb stores that you do. Like, give me a break. Like okay, the one about him not packing, I still don't think you should share that story, but it's acutely absurd. Fine. This she's actually not a good wife for sharing the story, because she's saying, look at me, I'm like you, the regular person watching this. Look at my detached husband who grew up from wealth.
Well, this is one of many things that should be discussed in depth before you decide to marry someone. It's your ideas of fiscal responsibility and your philosophies of money should be compatible, if not exactly the same. And it is generally true that a self-made multimillionaire, be it an entrepreneur or in her case an actress, is gonna have a more frugal mentality than a trust fund baby, which is her husband. And there's nothing wrong with being born into privilege, but I mean, clearly he wasn't taught the same things about the value of the dollar. And one person was cited as coming to his defense in the comments, saying Did y'all not hear her say he does this so he has an excuse to go shopping for clothes because that's what he likes doing? I do the exact same thing sometimes. He's not a man-child. The dude just has a shopping addiction. It's not that deep. I don't think anybody should have a shopping addiction, regardless of how much money they have to spend, or if it makes a dent in their bank account, or in this case, their parents' bank account. You still should have more respect for the stewardship you have over your money, and the wealth that you've been given, even more so because it's not yours, and more respect for the items in your possession already. So I do think it makes him come off as superficial. He probably is to some degree superficial. And
how much is his
it
family?
was unwise of her to share this story, especially multiple times.
I'm curious, how much is his dad worth?
Oh gosh, I mean, if I had to throw a number out there, I don't know. People used to make way more money off of music than they do these days.
I'm just curious. An estimated net worth of $410 to $450 million.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
How much is she worth?
I'm not sure. Something in the tens? Tens of
20 million. Okay. So say what you want, but depending on whether his dad has a boomer moment and says, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and marry rich, of which he did, he's going to have a lot of money coming to him one day, which she will then have access to. So she can pretend as if she is above all this. Oh, shopping at Amazon for Amazon Basics and for Target. But it's a lot easier to say that when you know that one day your family is going to come into even more money than what you provide right now. And depending on what his trust fund looks like, he's bringing just as much to that table. The only thing they have a problem with is how he came to possess that money. In which case, we come back to the same place where she should not have shared these stories because it makes it seem like she doesn't like her husband.
Yeah, I won't assign malice to it, honestly. It doesn't seem that she thinks of it as this unflattering thing about him.
She does not just have 20 million from this one show. She's also done the Enola Holmes movies, which she has a Netflix deal that garners her a ton of money.
She owns her loungewear brand, and she does plenty of brand deals. She makes a lot of money, and I think even though they can expect, a lot of inheritance from his family, currently, as things are now, she is the breadwinner of the relationship.
I don't know that. I don't know what his monthly allowance looks like, or what his how much he has in his bank account. He's what, 20 something?
Yeah, he's 24. She's 22.
He could have had a trust. He could have had a trust that he had access to the day he turned 18. He could have a ton of money. We don't know that. And then it comes back to the same discussion before. It's not about the marriage. It's about that he's a Nepo baby. And they don't like him because he came from money, because there's a lot of hatred for people that come from money these days. Which is funny, because then the conversation becomes, depends on the side of the aisle you're talking about, because what if he ends up being one of those dads who's like, who are all the celebrity dads who's like, my kid's gonna pull himself up by the bootstraps. I'm not giving him. Jackie Chan said that he's giving all his money to the Chinese Communist Party or whatever. There's tons of American actors who are like, well, my kids are gonna have to work for it if they want to make their ends meet. Or who was Shaquille O'Neal? Their kids had to get 3 degrees or 2 degrees if they want access to his millions.
Extremely boomer moment.
I do love the Chris Tucker take, where his friend or his family started quitting their jobs when he made $20 million. And he's like, no, I made $20 million. You better go ask for your job back.
Yeah. I'm sure that gets really messy.
It says Jake Bon Jovi is worth,
a child star.
Jake Bon Jovi is worth $1 million. Well, then she is the breadwinner, because $1 million is not shop at Prada every time you travel money.
No, but I guess we'll never know, and we don't need to know to have this discussion, because I think it goes beyond the wealth gap aspect. Yeah. This is something that we see happening with couples of all tax brackets. As I showed with that, example of the influencer couple, I'm sure they do well for themselves, but women are constantly sharing these endearing tidbits of their relationships. Clearly, they have this subconscious outlet that they need for other people to say cruel things about their husbands so that they don't have to take responsibility for it.
Maybe his compromise, he's like, look, I don't want to work in a farm, but here I am.
It's like, okay, I don't want to be subjected to seeing that shit. Like, I don't want to be subjected to seeing a video of your husband being an idiot. I don't care, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to be a part of your weird dynamic. Like, deal with that behind closed doors. Show us the highlight reel. Everyone in the 2010s was always talking about how social media is a highlight reel and it's not real life. It's not vulnerable and gritty and messy enough. No, we've seen far too much mess.
That's
far too much vulnerability. I want to go back to the days where we would just show like either something stupid like our cup of coffee that morning or a highlight reel from our vacation. I don't like all of this stuff where we're getting personal with each other.
All right, let's move on. Let's do some super hits. Guys, we're like almost at a crisis party, so let's get to it, huh? Let's get to it.
All right. Stefan Buttle said Mary is about to get ratioed in the poll.
It's pretty
check
split.
up on that? Do you want to end the poll or?
58% say he's an A-list actor. 42% say that he is a B-list actor.
That's crazy. But I feel like we're in a bubble though, because obviously if you're watching the show, you're more plugged into like entertainment industry stuff. But I would guess that most people like just out on the street wouldn't recognize him by name at least. They might recognize like, oh, he was in whatever.
No, that's the opposite. They have to recognize his name because his face is always covered up.
Right. Yeah.
So
they'd be like, oh, that's a scene from whatever.
I don't agree. I think that he is I think he is one of those quintessential names that people know now. I do. Like I said, the fact that he's part of that many like well-known franchises. So playing Bane in a Batman movie, albeit the worst of the Nolan trilogy, being in a Spider-Man a superhero trilogy of movies, whatever. I do think that he is what you'd consider an A-list actor. Maybe he's at the edge. Maybe he's an A-.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's an A-.
But I do think that he is an A-list actor.
Matt Damon is another one that I would say is an A-list, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like but he benefits from being famous at a time, just like a Robert De Niro. He comes from an era of a more monolithic culture. So I like I said, 23 separate years, he was the he was the top star according to IMDb. So you don't get there unless there's strong name recognition.
How did they decide that? How does IMDb decide that?
I mean, IMDb has a literal ranking system. So it may be because those 3 years he was in productions that were really, really popular. 2015 would have been The Revenant. 2012 would have been The Dark Knight Rises. I don't know what 2017. Oh, 2017 might have been one of the Venom movies. So,
okay. Eazy-E said Tom Hardy was on BBC Bedtime Stories. The list of celebrities who have that on their resume is small. You can't call that B-lister. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is, Brett?
Read it again.
He was on BBC Bedtime Stories. What does that mean?
Must be a show they do on the BBC.
I have no idea. Never heard of it. Robert Delara said Homer Gear is D-list. Homer Simpson is A-list. That's true. I wouldn't even put Homer Gear at D. He's probably at like E.
Yeah. They are correct about Tom Hardy, by the way, at least tangentially. He signed the Artists for Ceasefire open letter to Joe Biden.
Well, a lot of people did that. It doesn't really mean that you're some kind of like brazen.
He's like, and under his name, he signed an F. Helen Mirren.
Yeah, sign the F. Helen Mirren petition. Stefan Buttle said, men don't have eating disorders, we have diets. They don't have food, they have boy kibble. And boy dinner. I just want to reiterate, like, if a TV show or a tweet can give you an eating disorder, I'm sorry, but that's like your problem to deal with. I don't care. Moon at Noon sent a rose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy E said, a man's reach, his aspirations should exceed his grasp. Homer here looks like, Homer Gear, I believe you meant, looks like a man who should aspire to better than whatever that was on screen.
No, perhaps they asked him to look that way.
I think they probably requested that from him and that he could take a month and a half, like I said, to go back to his usual physique. And that's something that, ironically, a lot of actors and especially actresses are not willing to do, especially when it's the other way around. If an actress is asked to like lose 5 pounds, she acts like, I mean, it's a human rights violation.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they're malleable to the demands of the job. Easy E said, important context that the average or median age in the USA is 39. Using a middle-aged average as a benchmark misses the point. 20-year-olds should look better than 40-year-olds if you don't see a doctor. That is an interesting point that I hadn't thought of. I guess, I mean, that would apply to the average size of both sexes. But then again, didn't you say 170 pounds is the average size of a woman in the age range of like in their 20s to early 30s?
I can go look it up again. I remember that.
Whatever it is, it's bad. I mean, it's bad no matter how you slice it, but that is true that as people are getting older on average, the average waistline is going to get bigger.
The average American woman weighs approximately 170.8 pounds and is about 5 foot 3.5 inches tall.
Does that have different categories for age groups though?
It does not. Yes. So age weight, average weight by group. So 20 to 39. What do you think the average weight is?
It's probably slightly lower, right?
167. Not a whole lot.
Oh no.
40 to 59 is 176. And then 60 plus is 166.
Okay, so it's like kind of the middle-aged women that are dragging the average up by a bit.
It says, and then just to put, to add fuel to the fire, it says for a woman of the average height, the healthy BMI equates to 105 to 140 pounds. So in all categories, for amongst all ages, they are about 20 pounds overweight.
That is so bad, man. Like, and here's what I don't understand about it. From the perspective of someone in their 20s, you will never be any younger than you are right now. You will never have a higher potential to be attractive and healthy that you have right now. So why not take advantage of it? Like, when you have the chance to be as attractive as you can possibly be, your best looking, why would you not take that opportunity? I don't get it.
Here's an interesting tidbit. So for the women, in all categories, they were, hold on, let me just double check here. The average is, okay, it does not list it for the men. So for the average American male, 20 plus, the average weight is 199.8 and the average height is 5'9". With a waist circumference of 40.5 inches. Age 20 to 29 is an average of 188 pounds. With from 30 to 39, from 20 to 29 is 188. From 30 to 39 is 208. And then from 40 to 49 is 206.
It's not good.
Yep.
RFK, if you're hearing this, do something. Stefan Buttle said, if I see a fatty on TV/life, I want to hit the gym. Well, that's good that you can let it motivate you. Zach Yandel said, I'm very excited to watch Backrooms for my birthday on Monday. I also got the HVAC EPA certification today. Should film a short review. Of Backrooms or of your HVAC certification?
Congratulations on
that.
I
guess.
Congratulations on that.
Yes.
That's a big deal. That's awesome, man.
And happy early birthday. I am curious to see Backrooms, but like, I'm like just about to hit the button and buy tickets. And I just think like, I don't want to be scared when I go to bed at night. You know, like it's just too much of a cost to my quality of life. I don't cope well with horror movies. And if it is legitimately scary, it's gonna ruin my week, maybe even my month. So you'll have to let me know how scary it is before I make the final decision to go. Easy E said, Vanilla Ice headlining something this big by default is crazy. Ice Ice Baby is going to be the bop of our 250th year because Ice is just that chill, LMAO.
He's going to have Tom Homan doing the choreography behind him.
Are you saying that he isn't a big enough star to headline something this big?
He's got the name recognition amongst the older generation, that is for sure.
He does. It's just hard for someone my age to like conceptualize that.
Yes.
Pop Culture Junkie said, having been in Washington, D.C. on July 4th, 1976.
Oh, I read that one.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. That must have been a wild time. Robert Delara said, I think there is a fine line between being a diva and being unprofessional. Being constantly late to the set and costing the production money should not be tolerated.
I generally agree. I do.
Yeah. Well, what is diva then? Like, what qualifies as inoffensive?
It's no green M&Ms in the bowl.
Diva.
No green M&Ms in the bowl.
Is The Rock peeing in water bottles diva behavior, or is it just?
I mean,
weird?
that's like a very unsanitary version of it, but yeah.
He's like, pee is sterile.
But not even really, because he's like, theoretically, he's doing it for the good of the show, where he's got to work out and look a certain way. So he's I don't stop, I don't take breaks, I pee in a Voss. I love that they kept mentioning that it was a Voss. Yeah, like that he kept peeing in Voss water bottles.
I will only pee in the most bougie water brands. That was crazy. But that's why I was so confused about Tom Hardy's track record of being late for everything, because he worked with Christopher Nolan, who does not tolerate that. And in fact, like, notoriously doesn't let people take breaks. He himself doesn't even take breaks to go to the bathroom. He doesn't do that. Like, I just find it hard to believe that he let Tom Hardy behave that way on set.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Bledsoe said, probably should have just kept the America 250 group, which is more bipartisan in sponsorship and connected with Obama, Bush, and others. But now with Freedom 250, it has affected both orgs negatively.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of the difference between the two. I assume that Freedom 250 is like the refashioned version of America 250.
America 250 makes more sense. Even using Freedom 250 feels partisan in a weird way. We have a 20 from Pat the Plumber, says, can't have a 0 Friday. Step it up, players. Yeah, I think you just got us our crisis party, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That got us to 1. I was going to say, they tried to clap back at Martina McBride with photos of her performing in the White House during Obama's administration. And, like, say what you will. Of course, that is in itself, like, a partisan thing to do. But back then, like, especially if this was in Obama's first term, he was very welcome. And he was very much mainstream. He had mainstream approval. And it just was not seen the same way.
I mean, but that is not necessarily because he actually was that popular. It's because we have since grown infrastructure to allow other people to have voices, where it was very much still a monoculture thanks to the way news was disseminated. Yeah,
I couldn't say that I was politically conscious at the time, but looking back on it, it definitely seems like there was legitimate popularity, manufactured or otherwise, for him. The Manic Mustache said, YouTube hates the C word. Stay toxic, my friends.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. If you attempted to send that in the Thank you. You had to get a dancer break in. Penamite said, honest, was self-conscious early in the intro because I couldn't put a face on Tom Hardy. Then Mary brought down the thunder with hot take and saved my ego. Okay, so you're on the side that thinks he wouldn't be A-list then.
Perhaps so. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Brett, get in front of the back and musculoskeletal issues. Mix in some elliptical work now. You don't find out the hard way until the nerves get crushed.
Oh, I'm screwed either way, my friend. My knee will I will eventually have to have surgery on one or both of my knees. You don't skate for 30 years and do the type of damage you do to your joints that I've done without it. You don't get to walk away freely from that. But I hear swimming is really good for for you. So maybe I'll pick
You
that
should join
up.
a synchronized swimming class.
That's such a good idea.
At an old folks home. Pop Culture Junkie said, I call Hardy a B+ list actor.
Maybe that's where we sit at. So I thought it was...
we all know Pop Culture Junkie is the expert on all of this stuff, so we're just going to accept that as gospel.
I thought it was funny, like some of the responses that I got were like, I think so. Like I said, is Tom Hardy an A-list actor? And they're like, I think so.
If it's I think so, then there is room for debate, right? Because if you asked people, is Leonardo DiCaprio an A-list actor, they'd be like, are you kidding? Is this a joke?
So
like,
I've got yes, no, yes, absolutely. I think so. I would say so. Yes, yes, of course. Of course. This person says, I don't know. I feel like he's close with the latest controversy over Mobland stuff. I saw a lot of people defending him. Maybe he's not snobbish A-list amongst the elitist actors, but he seems like A-list amongst the fan class. This person says, I'd consider A-list to be an actor whose movie you'll see just because they're in it. So yes, he's an A-list actor. This person says, I'd like to consider him one, but to keep A-list properly prestigious and exclusive, nah. This person says A minus. Oh, they actually said that. A minus.
A minus.
He's really not
B+.
leading man material unless you're doing a gritty London underground type flick. Although I do like him as Bane in Venom. Well, then you listed 2 movies that are not those genres. So the A-list, as you will watch movies and television with them, with that person in it, regardless of the story or plot. Personally, Hardy is amazing and blends into his roles. Okay. I see his name in the cast. I'm watching it, so yes. Yeah. Spooky JB. JB Spooky Reviews says, are there any A-list actors these days?
They still exist.
And
There aren't many
Chris,
new ones.
Chris Graves says, I would say yes based on his resume, but is it me or is his approach to roles all starting to feel the same? Strong, silent, grunting, violent type. Well, yeah, you want to get paid more per word than the average. Look at the photo I used. Is that the photo from the Helen Mirren one?
From what?
From
her Instagram? Yeah. Love you forever and always, Helen. I love that there was no like hyphen or dash or whatever before Helen. It was just love you forever and always, Helen.
Yep.
Anyways, so I think my point is proven by the diversity of responses that you received, Brett.
I'll have to. I never do polls on X because I never get in. Like it always like my reach. I already have like minimal reach on X, anyways. But like whenever I do a poll, like nobody votes.
It disincentivizes people from elaborating on their views if they just have a button to press. Yep. So, Robert Delara said Mary's net worth is more than Jake Bon Jovi thanks to a internet show. Very true. We have some very wealthy benefactors contributing to the channel. We have tens of millions of dollars in the bank. We'll use it someday.
Every day she goes to work, she doesn't bring anything. She just goes shopping right before she goes in.
Pat the Plumber said, can't have a 0 Friday. Step it up, players.
Thank you. I read that one, but yes, it's a 20, so we can read it again.
High Voltage 75 said, I just realized I'll be 90 during America's tricentennial. If I make it that far, I'm going to party my old wrinkly butt off.
Rock on.
That's awesome. I hope you make it that far. No Control said, should let the left and right send their best to the concert. Let them put their drag queens in front of kids. We'll see how Americans respond. Well, I mean, it's debatable what that really means. Like, the people who belong to the left are objectively the most popular artists of our time. And they would probably be... that level of event is below them because their time is so expensive.
I know what we can do. we can pay Christopher Nolan, a bunch of money to give like a seminar on directing in Hollywood, and he won't be able to cancel because he doesn't have email, so he won't be able to back out before he gets there.
Perfect. How about we do a partisan battle of the bands?
So it's just Kid Rock versus it's Kid Rock and Tom McDonald versus I don't know who else.
Versus Green Day.
Yeah.
Green Day would win. That's the problem. They're good. You can't argue with that.
We got a couple of Rumble rants here from Half Baked Treehouse. Says, late as usual, but apropos to being Sunday, you can be a see you next Tuesday while you're a hottie. Then in your 30s, hit you like, no, thank you, please. Now you're just a Karen looking for a manager. Stay toxic, my friends.
I don't think anyone should aspire to be a see you next Tuesday or a Karen.
You should not want to be that.
Actually, I take that back. I'm a proud Karen, and I identify as a Karen. Penamite said, are these people saying that they agreed to play a concert on the president's lawn and just became aware now the left wouldn't respect their political celibacy? What is political celibacy?
I don't know. Can we send Phil? Thank you in the chat to No Control. What about Phil? Let's send a Labonte.
Get Phil on the case. Well, he's probably busy doing other tour dates.
No,
right?
he's done. Tour just ended. He's supposed to be coming back next week.
I bet he would do it. He would do it.
It's like we only have one act left. It's all that remains. Nah.
That's pretty good. You already have the marketing ploy down. Yeah.
They could go do that.
Oh, that would be a great idea.
Yep. It's time to get and here's the thing. I don't know if they get paid for it, but now you got them over the barrel because they know they got nobody else. So you're like, $100 million.
Did they get Gene Simmons?
Hi.
He's a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Right?
You just got
pretty outspoken.
You go over to like whatever's on Breitbart with somebody clapping back. So it is probably
Gene Simmons, Alice Cooper.
You know what Trump needs to do right now? It would be the funniest thing ever. Record a video of him calling Bruce Springsteen to ask.
That would be great. Because it's like, look, I've called hundreds of people. They're not picking up. Bruce, I need you.
Yeah, I love it. And Bruce is like, I fucking hate your guts.
But if he's really all about, loving our country, maybe he should.
All right, guys, before we go, would you all please hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Share the episode out with everybody. Would you do that, please? And then argue in the comments section with everybody. That way you can increase our engagement. Thank you for paying attention to this matter. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. I do want to draw your attention to tomorrow night, Saturday night. I am going to be doing a Discord exclusive show at 7 p.m. We're just getting that set up now. Olivia is working on it. I'm still debating about how we're going to do it, if I'm just going to cover some pop culture news, if I'm going to try and just interact with everybody in the audience. We'll figure it out. I want to try and make this like a twice a month thing, and we'll get it all worked out. So if you are not, you should go over and become a member of the Timcast Discord, because that's where I will be trying to spend more time. Also in the PCC section of the Timcast Discord, I try to get in there and pop into the general chat at least once a day. So I will see you guys over there. Remember that PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you'd like to listen rather than just watch the show. You can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's a great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.